Season 1 of Suicide Squad launched last week with a new character in the Joker, new incursions, a new boss fight, new loot, and more. I broke down how to get the Joker fast, how to level him up to max level in 30 minutes, and I've done a complete breakdown and guide on how the season works. If you're looking for those videos, I'll leave a link in the description to each one. But now it's opinion time, and oh boy, have I got a lot to say. Both positives and negatives. You'll never find me on this channel with a rage-induced, angry video. If I don't like something at all, I won't bother with it. It's as simple as that. And if I am talking about something I don't like, I'm trying to explain why I don't like it, rather than just, it's bad because bad. So, this is my review of Season of Joker Episode 1. Before we do get stuck in, if you're looking to stay up to date on Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, I've got a Joker build video in the works, or you just want to stay up to comic book games in general, scroll down, hit the subscribe button. The support in the last week has been amazing and it is very much appreciated. With all that said, let's get stuck in. So, at this point, I've invested a lot of time into different live service shooters. I wouldn't proclaim myself an expert, but it means I've got a lot of different takes and experiences when it comes to seasons and live content. It should also be noted that I do enjoy this game. I think watching gameplay can be a visual mess, but playing it is a bit of a different story. So, I think one of the most controversial aspects we should tackle first is the unlocking of Joker. It wasn't handled very well. The problem I really have is have some kind of commitment or grind to unlocking him. I don't think that's a humongous issue. My problem lies in two parts. One, the fastest route of unlocking him is running the same things you're meant to be running after you unlock him. Part 2, which then ties into that, these incursion missions can't be progressed in the mastery level. So what happens is you've got this really tedious loop that's just so easy that you're one-shotting enemies with your assault rifle and you're just running these same missions over and over and over. For all its flaws, I like the way Avengers handled most new heroes. You get an introductory mission, like for example Kate Bishop, you then do these mission chains as your original characters, and then by the end of the mission chain, Kate Bishop would then become playable. But the fact was, those missions wouldn't be what you were running after you unlocked her. Now granted, we could rant all day about Avengers Endgame content. That's not the point. Making players grind the same missions that are your endgame to unlock and then level up your character isn't good. It isn't fun, and it just feels such an unnecessary rake that's been stood on by Rocksteady. Either have us dive into the boss fight against Brainiac right away, or give us a mission or two to run before we get to that point that isn't the same as the endgame missions. I'm not going to sit here and say go and create this super detailed and expensive mission that will run one time, but just make the path to unlocking Joker different to what we're meant to be doing after we've unlocked him. Unfortunately, this feels like it's done two things. One is that it's trying to entice you to pay for the Joker to avoid any grind. Two, anyone who was on the fence about this game, this is the fastest way to turn them away from it. This isn't me saying that the grind is horrible or it takes forever, but it was just the wrong choice for this season and for the first season in particular. As for the Brainiac boss fight, I thought it was fine. I know people are losing their heads about it being a reskin, but I actually think that Green Lantern is easily the best boss fight in the game, and a few new variations to this fight was welcome. I think a problem the game has though is that, look, I don't know how much development effort these boss fights require, but I have zero intention of ever running that mission ever again. Because why would I? There's no loot here or gear incentive that other incursion missions don't offer up, which take dramatically less time and can be specific to firearms or grenades that I'm trying to chase. I think if Rocksteady wants to incentivize us to replay these missions, we need some form of boss loot or cosmetics to be unlocked as a result of it. Like I say, I enjoyed the boss fight, but when there's no incentive to go back, what's the point? Speaking of the Brainiac boss fight, I think this is where almost everyone can feel let down in some aspect. Once you beat Brainiac, this is quote unquote the new story of the season. Joker gets introduced, we take him back to Argus, a few character interactions which I found pretty funny, I won't lie. But then that's it. I was genuinely stunned by this. Like, just as I was really getting a feel for the character, enjoying the performance and the squad harmony, that's all we get. No tease of what's next, No real big, Harley, you know the Joker died? Well, he's back now. Just a one-line quip about comedians. No, like, no, that, oh wow, that's another Brainiac down. Here's what's next. No update on our current Brainiac. And I think that's where I get concerned, is that I'm pretty sure that's it now until episode 2 in 6 weeks' time. I mean, my expectations are even lower now for the story in that one. There's no like week-to-week progression or expanded lore outside the audio logs. Just confusing is the word I'd use, because it felt like it was made to be some significant update to the story, but it just wasn't. It's just, yeah, you got the Joker. Okay, go play as him. Yeah, another Brainiac's down. As for the Joker then, easily the best part of the season. He may be my new favourite character now that I've spent a good chunk of time with him. You can really lean into melee if you want to, grenades, traversal, affliction spreading. I actually don't mind this interpretation of him. It's vastly different to Mark Hamill, of course. That's the Joker that I grew up with. But I do think that this performance is good. It's just, there isn't much of it. His traversal is a lot of fun. Gliding on the umbrella, propelling yourself up into the air, and then his traversal attack I really like. His build for me so far is all about getting vertical, swooping down from the skies, and I really like that. I'm a little disappointed in the free options for cosmetics, just a default outfit with 3 other colourways and of course the Twitch drops. There is the Battle Pass outfit, though the Wayne Tech items aren't doing much for me other than the Deadshot one, but I'll talk about the Battle Pass in a little bit. But yeah, the Joker, easily the best part of the season, which, you know, Season of Joker, you'd kind of hope he would be. Alongside that, we've got 6 new incursions, which all take place on Joker's themed Elseworld, which, again, visually, the environments here are outstanding. Daytime, nighttime, Joker Tower, I think it's fantastic. People can have complaints about this game all they want, but the environments are second to none, from school ships to Metropolis to the Elseworlds to, of course, the character designs. I think the combat incursions are the pick of the bunch here. They're the best additions. Either the grunt ones or the Justice League infused incursions. That's where I had the most fun testing builds, and they just feel perfectly tuned and not annoying. The Brute in the vehicle one is okay, can be annoying, but I think I've cracked it now. The anti-air gun one though, I don't enjoy these. There's just a bit too much going on, especially once choppers get added to the mix. The freezing effect that they can have on you, alongside the weather, alongside the mines that the gun deploys, alongside the gun then targeting you, it's too much. And it feels like all I'm having to do is just dodge the shit going on, rather than being able to progress what is happening in the mission. I think one change that would really help is that instead of killing the enemies to collect the resource, which then throws like a power up to reveal the weak spot, I've noticed that when I kill enemies, they don't always drop the resource right by where I kill them. It'll like float to some tower up in the air. I think what could really help the flow of these missions if kills either generated like a Toyman gadget and it charged it up so we didn't have to go and collect them before throwing them in the weak spot. I'm aware that that could just be me though. Killing time, I just can't get into it. Someone on one of my videos said it's a bit like COD Zombies, which, yeah, I can see that. It works for some, it just doesn't work for me. I kinda like the new mission power-ups, like they can be fun, like Infinite Ammo or Diablo Blaze, but it's not really having a huge impact in terms of gameplay variety. Overall, incursions are 100% better in terms of variety, but I just can't get past one thing. Something I've said multiple times and praised the team at Rocksteady for is the loot, in both its visual design and actual mechanics, and how that allows for different builds. This episode, we've seen the introduction as poison as an effect to have on enemies, not an affliction though. We've got Scarecrow, Dr. Poison and Merlin firearms, and again, all these weapons, they look the part. After mastery level, I think it's 13, a mutator is enabled, which is a modifier, that means enemies become invulnerable to the frenzy effect, which was all of Bane's gear, right? Basically meaning, this season, the only viable builds all revolve around applying and afflicting poison. Look, I get it, it's the episode of fear, but don't make it the only viable build being poison. Just make poison more of a reason to use it. I think of Destiny in this example. In a season, you'll have seasonal artifacts, right? This will, for example, enhance solar damage, or Void Hunters will remain invisible for longer. That means you're more likely to use that subclass in that season, but that doesn't stop you from using Arc. I adore these Polka Dot Grenades, these Merlin Firearms, and the Mad Hatter Melee. I think they're mint, I really do. But I don't like being confined to builds when I've just spent this entire last season 0 grinding all this Bane gear that is now completely redundant. When your entire endgame revolves around testing and experimenting with builds to climb the mastery level, this is just not a good option. Here's the thing though. Look, I'm mastery 40 now. I'm having a lot of fun with this Joker poison and grenade build that I'm currently using. I'm causing havoc. But at what point am I like, alright, that's enough. On the one hand, I respect Rocksteady's choice in, look, we want to make a player-friendly approach to the endgame. Meaning, we don't need you to play our game for hours and hours and hours. But I've already got all the loot from this episode. Sure, I'd like master versions of my firearms. But why am I chasing that? Just to get further up the leaderboard? It's not a strong incentive to keep playing. Why do I want to make extremely powerful builds just to run the same missions with more challenging modifiers, but still get that same loot and rewards that running it 20 levels lower would also get me? Not to mention, it looks like episode gear is going to work in a fashion where it's buff for that episode, but then each new episode adds a new dynamic to make the new gear most usable and viable. But this is the thing. There's no target in sight, no raid, dungeon, mission, that it's like, that's why I'm leveling up this character. That's why I'm chasing this certain role. Leaderboards are cool, but there has to be rewards. The same reason I won't rerun the Brainiac mission is the same reason I'll probably push to Mastery 50, and then I'll probably stop. Years ago, I think this model would have been fine. The problem is, there's so much else to play, so much else to do. For leaderboards that are then made redundant in 6 weeks' time, like I say, it's a nice player-friendly approach. But there's one huge problem with that. If people aren't playing your game, they aren't spending money in the cash shop. There's a smaller pool of players to matchmake with, and the already hurt reputation of the game just continues to be damaged. The new incursions are sound, but they still feel like the same, just with a different coat of paint. In Destiny or Avengers or The Division, it's not that the gameplay changes, but it's the idea of tricking you into making you feel like you're doing something different. Here, it's the same things, and I don't know what I'm working towards. I think that's the problem though. We don't know what's coming. We didn't really know what this season would be. I said in my last video that Suicide Squad is more akin to Diablo than Destiny with its seasonal format. The seasons are not about story, but about builds and seasonal loot, which is absolutely fine, but communicate that to the player. The communication has been poor since launch. I really like the idea of the weekly dev blogs, but I don't know if it's working in the way we need it to. And I know that with a DC property, there's likely a big chain of command and approval process for its messaging. But man, the complete wet fart this weekend when we all found out that strongholds aren't some kind of mini dungeon, they're just the points on the map like the air guns or Joker's Terraform Transformer. We all thought there were going to be mini dungeons that we'd be going into. And that's where the messaging comes in. A few other things. Episode levels are actually a nice addition. Extra rewards, XP, banners, all for free. It's a nice extra track of rewards once you've got past that initial Joker grind. The Battle Pass just... look, I've used my Deluxe Edition token, but it's not really doing much for me. The Wayne tech suits are okay. Deadshots is the best, but he's free. Not that that's a problem, but... Look, it's defo player friendly in the aspect of it not expiring, and you earn the cost of it back in in-game currency, but the progression right now feels slow, even with me using care packages, even with me doing contracts. Plus, for characters with such a storied history, I'd like to see more outfits. I don't mind the Wayne tech or the homemade Justice League skins, but this game needs to sell cosmetics, especially when your content is free. And right now, these skins are not going to set the world on fire. Last but not least, More loot storage, please. Like 300 is not enough for 5 characters. Not to mention a big quality of life feature that we need to stop epic loot dropping after we reach something like character level 30. There is for sure aspects of this season that are strong. The base content being free, the Joker is my favourite pick of playable characters so far, the combat incursions are the best of the incursions yet. Once again, the design and the feel of the loot is terrific. The presentation by Rocksteady is once again outstanding. Unfortunately, when paired with restricted build crafting because of terrible modifiers, minimal story, rerunning the same missions to unlock the Joker as you are once you have him, it is not the season that I, and I think many others, had hoped for to breathe some life back into the game that just desperately feels like it needs a win. I want this game to thrive, to succeed. I want an ongoing DC game. I want to reach the seasons where we get to experience Arkham Knight's Gotham or go back to Arkham Asylum again. I know the team at Rocksteady care. I follow a lot of the devs on Twitter. I see the passion. I feel it in the game. But this in its current format is not going to please many. Those who come for the Arkhamverse story have nothing to chew on, and those that come for the endgame to create builds have nothing but mastery levels to go up. Season of Joker has its fair share of positives, but the title of episode 1 is exactly how I feel about this game's future. It really is an episode of fear. So, if you've been playing Season of Joker, what are your thoughts? Is he your favourite character? What are your overall thoughts on the season? How does Infamy loot here compare to Bane? How does episode 1 make you feel about the game overall? I'd love to talk with you in the comments down below. All I ask is please be civil, you know? If you enjoyed hearing my thoughts on the game and want to stay up to date on the game's future, consider subscribing because it would mean a lot to me. Dropping a like on this video really helps me out, so if you like what I'm looking to do here on this channel, dropping a like is the best way of showing your support. Have a terrific day, and I'll catch you in the next one.